right now. Chris Mannix from NBC, host of the Chris Mannix Show, weekday afternoons on NBC Sports Radio, the 24-hour Sports Talk Network. Download the app, subscribe to the Mannix podcast, which is a must-listen for all boxing NBA fans out there. Chris, welcome back. How are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
We're doing well. Bizarre situation here locally last night. We got a chance. There was good news yesterday. Joel Embiid's minute restrictions was lifted, but he got no minutes last night. Bizarre situation in Philly. You've been around the league a long time. Have you seen something like this before? And, what do you think about what happened in Philly last night?
You rarely see it, and the more times you see it is in preseason games when you're playing in a non-NBA facility. Teams, of course, they go and it's kind of part of their outreach programs. They play it. Boston plays in Worcester, or the Hornets play in Greensboro, and usually these are not NBA approved facilities necessarily. And sometimes you do have problems with condensation on the court or issues with the court. But I can't remember the last time something like this happened that caused the cancellation of a game. I've seen delays, but I've not seen cancellation, postponement in a very long time.
Yeah, wild situation where it was pretty warm here yesterday, and I guess somebody, though, they're kind of blaming it on somebody from the Flyers game the day before that never turned the temperature down. Bizarre situation, no make-up date on that. Would have been cool to see Embiid and Cousins.
I also point out that the Philadelphia arena, by the way, is as cold an arena as you can find in the league. If there's one lesson to be taken from this, it's warmed that arena up a little bit earlier on.
Yeah, some of the players have. I know Allen Iverson used to famously talk about how cold it was in there. The Embiid-Cousins matchup was something to watch, and his minute restriction up to 28. I know we've talked about him a lot, but seeing that minute restriction go up, that's got to be a sign that that he is feeling good, the foot's feeling good. We got into an argument with the doctors last week. He kicked a chair. He wanted to play in overtime. They wouldn't play him, but it seems like the minute restriction, because Chris, they had said it wasn't going to be till Christmas.
Yeah, and that's great news, and certainly I don't fault Philadelphia at all for sticking with a cautious plan with Joel Embiid. I mean, I was having this conversation with Bobby Marks, who's our front office insider over at The Vertical, and, of course, he was the assistant GM with the Brooklyn Nets for many years, and he was around when Brook Lopez was coming back from his foot problems, and Bobby could not have been more adamant that this was the right thing to do with Philadelphia. Be patient, be cautious, even in the with the possibility of it costing them a game like it might have a little while back when Embiid had to sit out that overtime period. It just doesn't make sense to push him, not with virtually nothing on the line in terms of team success overall this season. So it's great. I think we'll see a lot of like all-star talk maybe in the next couple of months as he gets even more minutes. But it's the right thing. It was the right thing to do to keep him on that short leash.
Some of the stuff this guy does, top of the key, ball fakes, shooting the three, it's pretty unprecedented. I know we've talked a lot about him, but now he's at 28. Okafor, he's kind of stripped of his minute restriction. Noel back at practice, so the Sixers are going to have this triangle soon. How do you envision it?
Well, I mean, I don't think long-term it's going to be successful. I don't think Okafor and Embiid can play alongside each other. I know Embiid is a more perimeter-oriented, or can be perimeter-oriented when he wants to be, but he's also a great post player, and you don't want to take that away from him. Okafor is limited to the post. Nerlens Noel doesn't have much of an offensive game to speak of at this point. I think one of those guys out of the Noel-Okafor mix has got to go. And don't be surprised in the next couple of months if you see the Sixers really try to prop up the statistics of an Okafor or a Noel. I mean, play them big minutes. Really showcase them for teams for a potential trade because the marketplace right now it's not great for either one of those two players. You're not going to get anywhere near equal value for them back in return. But if you get into January and Okafor is averaging like 18 points and 8 rebounds, teams are going to get interested. Those type of players don't grow on trees, and I think Okafor might be able to do that.
Yeah, Noel, limited participant. We'll see when he comes back. Because people here anyway, Chris, are intrigued by the Noel-Embiid pairing. Can you envision that working?
Well, I mean, it's unorthodox for today's NBA because in today's NBA, I mean, everybody's a stretch something. I mean, I was watching Nets Clippers in Brooklyn the other night, and Brook Lopez, who shot a total of, made a total of 3 3-pointers in his first 8 years, was shooting 4 for 9 from 3-point range. I'm watching Grizzlies games, and Marc Gasol is jacking up threes like he's never done before. So, being a perimeter big is kind of in vogue, and neither one of those two players is necessarily a perimeter big. That being said, that has the chance to be a great defensive front line. And if you can get enough support from your guards, which right now they don't have because they don't have any good guards, but if you can get enough support from your guards, your perimeter players, to supplement that offense, you might be able to get away and be successful with two elite defenders at those spots.
You mentioned the guard, and so did we're talking with Chris Mannix, NBC Sports here. Brett Brown mentioned the other day, told the Philadelphia Inquirer that he is committed to using Ben Simmons as his point guard when he is returned, when he is ready to return. So is he the guard that you speak of, or are they going to need something more shooting-oriented?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll need someone more shooting-oriented. I mean, Ben Simmons will be the point guard. He'll probably wind up playing small forward or power forward on the other end of the floor. I don't see Simmons defending point guards on a regular basis, at least not for a while. But it does give you some flexibility there. If you're playing Ben Simmons as your natural one and you're making him a playmaker, all of a sudden you can stock that traditional backcourt with shooters. You don't need a playmaking one. You can just find the best shooter out that you can get, put him out there, and have him space the floor for some of these bigs. So it certainly presents different options. I mean, the Bucks are experiencing something comparable with what they do with Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, he has been their point forward for the last year and a half or so, and he's been pretty successful at it in the stints they've had. So it certainly gives Brett Brown a little more roster flexibility when you're making Ben Simmons the primary playmaker.
Chris Mannix, host of the Chris Mannix Show, weekday afternoons, NBC Sports Radio, the 24-hour Sports Talk Network. Download the app and subscribe to the Mannix podcast. Sixers tomorrow night against Orlando, conditions permitting. Chris, thanks so much, man.
You got it.